Just finished playing recently, joined by Derek from the Old Soul Society. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Looks like you're getting some hydration going.
Sorry,
there,
yeah,
kinda.
I'm chewing on some fruit and nut mix here. Apologies.
Sorry, so you're halfway through your sets. You've got one more set coming up at Mile of Music. Mm-hmm. How did the set go earlier today?
It went really well. We were surprised. Well, I shouldn't say surprised. We had a drummer and a bass player playing with us, filling in, that have never played with us before. So they're competent. They play with the band Charlie Boy that was also out here doing sets on Thursday and Friday. And they're familiar with my music, so it went really well. There were a couple little mistakes that actually were nice because sometimes stuff gets a little over-rehearsed. You know?
Did anybody notice the mistakes, or were they just mistakes that were...
Well, we all did.
Did anybody notice mistakes, or were they just mistakes that were... Well, we all did.
All good.
All good. So...
But yeah, I mean, we noticed them, but it was like... I was just talking to Wade a minute ago about how... I think the real testament to like a good musician or a quality band or good musicians is that it's not how well they play together, but how well they mess up together. You know what I mean? And so we hit the dirt a few times and just kept it moving, and it was actually kind of refreshing for Kenny and I, because you know, some of the stuff we've just been doing the same way for so long.
And how many Mile Musics have you done so far?
First one.
This is your first one ever.
Yeah.
And you've had the band going for quite a while.
10 years.
10 years. How did it feel to finally play the Mile of Music?
It was great. It was really good. I mean, when we got there, it's kind of just the sound people. They weren't even open yet. And we didn't really know what to expect. We didn't really have any preconceived ideas about what it was going to be like. But we got a decent little sound check in and then ran back to the hotels. And when I came back down, the place was packed. And I was like, oh, sweet. And then, yeah, everybody just played right. And it just felt really nice.
Have you attended the festival in the past?
I have, yeah.
So you kind of knew what to expect from a crowd.
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, I haven't been out in a few years actually, but yeah, it's awesome. I love the idea of the all original music and really it really showcases what kind of art is really being created around here and you know other places as well, but on the independent scene.
And as far as genre goes, Old Soul Society would be considered Americana. Would you put it in any other categories? I know a lot of bands can be put here and there depending.
Yeah, I mean our bio thing says rooted in Americana or with branches into like folk and soul and blues, and we did like a number that's kind of a reggae tinged thing today. Just kind of depends. I have rock and roll music also that I don't bring into this band generally, but it is a pretty wide range of stuff that we're willing to traverse with this group. So,
being your first Mile of Music, did you have any notion of how much merch you would need to sell after the show? Did you have a lot of people looking for a lot of stuff?
We did, and I didn't bring our shirts or sweatshirts in. I kind of spaced because I had parked a ways away, and I didn't think we were going to the venue at the time that I went to the venue. Turned out it was not too far, but anyways, didn't bring that stuff. Had a lot of people asking for that, so I anticipate a decent number of people showing up tomorrow and expecting us to have it out. I promised many people I would, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, and then I also made a couple, like our first record was recorded live in this old farmhouse, and it's authentic to what we sounded like that night, but we didn't polish up stuff and clean things up. So, and there's even one song that I wrote that night that got a real basic demo treatment that never really probably should have been on the record. And so I mentioned these things from the stage, and then I also acknowledged what a horrible salesperson I am. But yeah, we actually sold a good number of CDs and we made vinyl of our latest album and sold a bunch of those. So it's been cool.
As far as playing the festival finally, did you notice a difference in the crowd from a typical show that's not on a Mile of Music week?
I mean, there is a kind of an electric energy because the people that are here to support this event really want to support the bands. They want to support the venues. They want to support original music. And so I think, yeah, I mean, people are here for this purpose. And then all the people that were in that room were there to hear music. They weren't just there because they worked down the street and just got off work or, whatever. Now at the hotel, that's another story. I shared an elevator ride with some people that were floored. They are not here for the festival, and they're
oh wow, they booked
the
hotel and didn't know about the
they're concerned. They were trying to talk to me about it. I was like, I love everything that's happening, so I don't know if you're not going to find an ally here, but I feel bad for you, but you could also just lean into it. This is what it is. Enjoy.
Can you give me a brief history of the Old Soul Society?
Sure. Well, I've been writing songs for a long time and had a rock and roll, blues, reggae type of conglomerate that I had to deal with when I was in the early 2000s. And from that, it kind of spiraled into another band that was called the Soapbox Project, which was similar, but it was a lot of upbeat. It was party energy, rock and roll, things like that. But I was always writing all these other songs that were starting to build up, and I started to almost feel like, I don't know, like I was hitting a dam or something that, like, the creative gods wouldn't allow me anymore until I did something with all the stuff they'd given me, or you know what I mean? Like, it felt like I was compelled to do something with these things. Actually, I especially connected more with this music than I did with a lot of the stuff that I was doing. And I had an epiphany too. I quit drinking. New Year's Eve 2013 was my last night of partying, and then I woke up the next day and I knew, I'd already been planning for like a couple months that was my plan. But yeah, I quit drinking and I started Old Soul Society and just kind of leaned into those songs. I started writing a lot of I bought a new guitar, new tones, new songs, and then started really filling out a collection that I felt really good about. So put a band together and started doing it, and I don't know, it feels better than anything else I've done. It feels real, and I don't feel like we're, like, the responses we get are genuine connections versus, like, we're not cheerleading for some beer companies or whatever anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we're more invested in what we're doing and more mindful to how good music has been to us,
Some people that drinking is a big part of a lot of people's experience playing music live. Were you worried when you quit drinking that it was going to affect your stage presence and how you
absolutely I spent a good amount of time. I mean, I am a raging alcoholic. Not like I wasn't an animal, but I could just drink ridiculous amounts of alcohol and do my thing. And when I say, like, being more respectful to music, that's kind of what I mean. Like, I got into these situations where it was amazing to me the things that I was getting to do with my life, and I had enough years of it that I was able to actually, like, reflect on some things. It wasn't like what happened last weekend, but, like, look at my life so far as an adult. This is what I've been doing, and, like, all these, especially my first band, like, we played huge shows, giant festivals with people I've idolized, and here I am sharing a table with them in the tent backstage. Like, just weird. But I felt like I was just taking advantage of all the things that came along with that and not really being, like, appreciative of how fortunate I really believe that I am, that this is what I get to do with my life. And so that was part of it, was just having that transition. But then I spent like 2 months meditating and really focusing on it from when I decided until I did it. And I knew I couldn't do the AA thing because, it's like an abstinence thing. And I was like, I can't, if I don't play music anymore because I can't go to these venues, then alcohol is still winning, I feel like. So I spent a bunch of time retraining my energy, but man, the first show that I played with my band when I was completely sober was about 3 weeks in, and I feel like the corners were no longer rounded. Everything was just 100%, 110%. You know what I mean? Like, it was just more of everything. And I was completely overwhelmed. I realized that the feeling that I had at that moment was something I could never purchase. There's no way that I could put that in a bottle or a bag or anything. You know what I mean? Like, it just, in fact, I was robbing myself of that feeling by drinking, by taking this extraordinary thing and just making it ordinary, you know, and just taking it for granted. So I had concerns about how it would be, but I was very vocal about it online because I travel and I knew that I could be fine where I'm in my home, but then as soon as I'm on the road, you know, people are always pushing stuff at me. So it was kind of a plea to people to like understand where I'm at, back off, but also to have accountability. So, and I did too. If people saw me, like I would drink NA beers and stuff, and someone see me and be like, "What?" And I'd be like, thank you, you know. But I had a lot of people I never would have expected reaching out to me as well. And even though we didn't do AA, we kind of had like a sponsorship thing going with all these different people that were, you know, really bared themselves in a way that made me feel a sense of responsibility then as well. And yeah, it's been great. It's been over 10 years now. And, you know, my bandmates would still do a shot, but they'll give me a shot of water. So I'm still part of the group, you know, but I don't feel tempted or anything. So
have the bandmates stayed pretty consistent since the formation of the band?
Not at all.
No. So you're used to like what happened today. It's not really
I mean, to some extent, we go through these waves, these kind of windows. And in fact, with this group, as of lately, we've kind of not been playing a lot of shows because we have been leaning on our core band and being like, if we can't all do it, then we'll just do something else, you know. But this came up and situations happened and some people just couldn't make it in, and we're like, we're gonna make this happen. We're not gonna just bail. Like, we've been making original music in Wisconsin for 10 years, and this festival's been going on a little bit longer than we've been a band, and we haven't been a part of it yet. So we're not gonna miss our chance now, you know.
Yeah. And what was that feeling like when you got the call?
Oh, it was good. It was great. I had been in communication, you know, kind of starting last year, and we knew we were going to get booked. We had been pretty much told, like, we really want you guys in. We just put our new album out and at the end of November last year, had a video out for that. Did a little tour to promote that and just had some good stuff going, and it just lined up nicely.
And that album you're talking about is the self-titled album?
Correct, yeah.
So it's interesting. So why did you do the self-titled album? It seems like a lot of bands do that first, and then...
That's funny that you asked that, because we did actually have it wasn't like a, hey, let's all sit down and discuss this, but there was a moment where it was kind of funny that we feel like we really found ourselves, who we are, and we define ourselves. Like I was saying, like we're not doing shows unless it's the guys that, you know, that we work with. So that was kind of where that came from. And it's our first proper studio album as well. The first record we made in this old farmhouse one night.
Called the Farmhouse
Sessions, yeah. And it's a good collection of songs, and everybody we played with is great players, but it's rough around the edges. There wasn't a post, you know, like we made the thing and then they did some mixing and mastered it, but and then the next one that we put out was a live recording that we just happened to have from a festival. It's a totally different kind of rock and roll-y energy, a little more up in your face, but also live, and not really reminiscent of what we're doing though, because we are a little more folky, a little more laid back than what that album kind of represents. And then we just had, like, we've put random, that's all we've put out officially up to that point, and then we have random like live shows that we'll put out on our Bandcamp page for like 2 weeks and then pull them, you know, just stuff like that. But and then we decided to make this album, and everything just kind of came together really nicely. We have a few other things too. When we went in day one in the studio, we actually were just going to get used to each other and the space and the engineer. And so we just went into and jammed through like 5 cover songs and ended up making a nice EP out of that. It turned out really great. So then when we went in to do the record, we already had a good feel about the sound we were going for. And the producer and engineer guy, Landon, really had us figured out right away too. And yeah, we worked hard for a little bit and then didn't work on it for like a year. And then we went back to it.
So you've done it all ways now. You've done the just crank it out. You've done the live, and you've done the take a little more time. Is there a way that you prefer out of those 3?
100% the last. It was really nice. We didn't. When I look back at these things now and think about it, and like as a musician, as a band, as a songwriter, we really have one brand, and that's our sound, more than anything else. So that's not an area that I'm willing to compromise that much anymore. That's not to say that I won't put out, if we have a subpar recording that has great performances or something, I might still put it out on like our Bandcamp. But as far as like actually giving these songs the attentions that they needed, I think everybody, the core band really was respectful to the process. We were respectful to each other. We weren't wasting time, but we were also open to trying anything. If someone had an idea, even if I didn't think it was a great idea, it's like, I can't prove it until we do it. So let's do it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't. And I was wrong a few times, and I was right most of the time. Fortunately, actually, everybody had really great ideas. So we really didn't, I mean, we used just about any idea that someone brought in. It was actually, everyone was being very thoughtful to the process. And I would do that every day, all day for the rest of my life if I could, and never, I love live performance, but I would live in a studio if I could now.
If people want to check out the Old Soul Society, you've got one more show at Model Music tomorrow at the Gibson Community Music Hall at 1:35. Where can people go to find out more about Old Soul Society?
We have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We have a bunch of stuff on YouTube. We have a link tree, Old Soul Society, that kind of has all of that stuff, and our Bandcamp page is kind of our direct connection to our fan base, because we put stuff up on Spotify or whatever, but with Bandcamp it's great because we have the full control on that. Like I said, we put random live shows or demos for songs or alternate versions of things up on there, and just let people download them for whatever they want to pay if they want to, and we pull them off and throw them back up, maybe again, maybe not, who knows. But yeah, but Linktree I think would probably be the best way. We are currently having our website being rebuilt, so that exists, but it's kind of non-functional at the moment.
I want to thank you, Derek, for joining us.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
You've been listening to Derek from the Old Soul Society. We are Code Zero Radio, broadcasting live from the Performing Arts Center, Mile of Music 11.